This is a debate between Dr. Lenox and Christopher Hitchens. Now, what I'll be doing in this video is providing biblical answers to questions Mr. Hitchens asked, which weren't answered during the debate. As we all know, Mr. Hitchens asked a lot of questions, most of which Mr. Lenox missed, so I'll be doing justice to those. Okay, without wasting any more time, let's...
In my opinion, the original emancipation, the first emancipation that humans must undergo is the freeing of themselves from this man-made and mind-forged manacle. It might be asked, why don't I want it to be true? Why don't I wish it to be true? Well, I'll tell you, because once you admit that this despot exists, you will find yourself in the real world, in the here and now, subjected to the rule of man-made power, purely man-made power, ruled by other primates and other mammals who claim the right to do anything they want with you because they have God on their side and because their rule is divine. This is not a theoretical danger. I'll illustrate it in a different way if you like, and take up Dr. Lenox's point about the origins of morality. If you think that we wouldn't know right from wrong, we'd have no concept of good and evil, or the right action or the wrong action, or the right thought or the wrong thought, if we didn't have the permission of a supernatural celestial dictator, if that's where our ideas of good and evil come from, then let me ask two questions of you. First, okay, I'll ask the questions and I'll leave it with the questions, and I hope I'll get a response later. You must now, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe this, you must tell me of a right action performed or a right statement, moral statement made by a believer, such as Dr. Lenox, that I could not make myself or couldn't state myself, something that only he could do as a believer that was right and moral, and I could not do because I'm not a believer. I've asked this question in a lot of places now and to a lot of people, including senior bishops and archbishops and others. I have not yet had an answer to it, and there must be a good answer if they are to make the claim that faith licenses morality and ethics. And then my second question, corollary question, much easier. Please think of a wicked action done by someone purely because they are a person of faith. Think of an evil thing said or an evil thing done that is only done because the person is religious. You've already thought of one. The suicide bombing community is entirely religious, faith-based. The genital mutilation community is entirely faith-based. You know how it goes. While these two questions hang in the air, I will bow out, let you brood on them. I hope you'll feed some of them back to me. And once again, my thanks, and back to Dr. Lenox.
Okay, so Christopher's understanding to morality, that standard compass which enables us in making judgment, is a bit messed up. We do not say you need God in order to know right and wrong or to be morally upright. Murder, rape, abortion, or theft is wrong. We all know it's wrong, except for some subjectivists who would point out abortion to be right, but we will tackle that some other time. Moral objectivism demands we live by certain standards higher than us, and that's what people outside faith hate to hear. Let's take the laws God gave to Moses, for instance. The laws given to Moses wasn't to bring to our knowledge what was right and what was wrong. The purpose of the law is to restrain lawlessness in man. The law threatens judgment, and for this reason, there will be consequences to people's actions, as opposed to earlier where people did evil and went freely because there was no standard that convicts the person of evil, thus facing judgment. And that is what faith-based folks refer to as objective morality, a standard we can all look up to and as a result pass a well-deserving and an all-agreeing judgment to people who do both good and evil. On the other hand, the atheists will tend to live with their own right and wrong. Subjectivism, the idea being there is no God, and even if there is a God, he is not good. For this reason, no atheist hails the idea of a supernatural being, certain standards above them to follow. So they simply choose to be subjective with regards to their moral conduct. Now, this is where objective morality stands on the shoulders of every kind of morality. The subjectivist has no standards to look up to when passing judgment except themselves. We call it personal opinion. Your good is your good and my good is my good. You do you and I do me. You don't get to tell me I'm wrong and I also don't get to tell you you are wrong. Imagine if the laws of your country were made this way. There wouldn't have been any system put in place to judge evildoers. The punishment for the wicked wouldn't have been fair, or there wouldn't have been any punishment at all for the wicked. What if the rapist told you he rapes because he feels or knows it's good? It makes him feel good. He thinks it's good. What would you tell him, since your right is your right and his right is his right? What if the criminal, baby killers, murderers, and so on did same? This is a system where you don't get to judge others because each person is his own God. There is no standard to look up to except the person in action, and this we can't run a nation by. This is it, guys. If subjectivism is going to prevail, then we are doomed. Having a moral compass to look up to as people of faith doesn't mean people outside of faith don't know good from evil. I think Christopher missed the whole point here. Subjectivists have no right to tell others they are wrong. That's all we are saying. Okay, if you love this video, kindly don't forget to sub, like, share,